How do we hear voices through phone calls? Phones are sorcery. Full stop. Like, how is it that I yell into a slab of glass in Berlin and some dude in Tokyo hears me go, yo, in real time? That's not tech. That's teleportation for sound. We built that from sand and lightning. All right, buckle up, because this is going to get weird. First off, you don't actually hear someone's voice over a phone call. You hear electricity pretending to be their voice. That's right. Your phone is a little liar with a speaker, a master of impersonation so good it fools your own brain. What you're hearing is a high-tech reconstruction, a ghost in the machine built from pure information. Every time you take a call, you're witnessing a digital seance. Here's what really happens. Chapter 1. Your voice becomes electricity. Your voice? It's just you making the air wiggle. When you speak, you create vibrations, pressure waves that ripple through the atmosphere. That's all sound is. Your phone's first act of wizardry is to capture these invisible wiggles. Inside your phone, there's a tiny magical device called a microphone. Modern smartphones typically use a MEMS, micro-electro-mechanical system microphone, which is basically a microscopic piece of silicon engineering. Think of it like a minuscule trampoline. As the sound waves of your voice hit the microphone's diaphragm, it vibrates. This movement is then converted into an electrical current, a fluctuating voltage that perfectly mirrors the pattern of your speech. So your booming hello is no longer a sound wave. It's now a fragile analog electrical signal. But an analog signal is like a handwritten letter. It's messy and hard to send across the world instantly. It's old school, and we're living in 2025. We need something cleaner, faster, something digital. Chapter 2. From analog squiggles to digital code. This is where your phone goes full Tony Stark. It takes that squiggly, continuous analog signal and shoves it into an analog to digital converter, or ADC. The ADC's job is to perform a kind of digital taxidermy on your voice, preserving it by turning it into a string of numbers. It does this through two ridiculously clever processes: sampling and quantization. Sampling is like taking thousands of rapid-fire photographs of the electrical signal every second. For a standard phone call, your phone might take 8,000 snapshots per second, a sample rate of 8 kilohertz. Each snapshot measures the amplitude, the loudness, of the signal at that precise moment. This turns your smooth, flowing voice into a series of distinct points, like a dot-to-dot drawing of what you just said. Quantization is the next step. Each of those thousands of samples is assigned a numerical value from a predetermined scale. Think of it as rounding the measurement to the nearest whole number. With a 16-bit converter, for instance, there are 65,536 possible values for each sample. This process effectively translates the height of the wave at each snapshot into a binary number, a sequence of ones and zeros. So your warm, nuanced "how's it going" is now a cold, hard stream of binary data. Your phone doesn't gossip in sound, it gossips in math. Chapter 3. Shrinking your voice with codecs. Now we have a digital version of your voice, but there's a problem. Raw, uncompressed, digital audio is beefy. It's a huge file, too big to send across the globe in real time without some serious lag. We need to put your voice on a diet. Enter the codec, coder-decoder. A codec is a piece of software or hardware that acts like a digital magician, compressing your voice data into a much smaller package. It's like taking a long, rambling sentence and rewriting it in a super efficient shorthand. Codecs are incredibly smart, using complex algorithms to remove redundant or less audible parts of the sound without you ever noticing the difference. Your phone and the network will agree on a codec to use, like the popular AMR, adaptive multirate, or the more advanced Opus, which is fantastic for a wide range of internet conditions. This compression is the key to making your voice light enough to fly across the network at incredible speeds. Chapter 4. The Journey. Riding the Invisible Highways. Now for the juicy part. Sending your binary compressed voice burrito halfway across the planet. That digital data, now lean and mean, hops onto a radio wave. Your phone's antenna blasts the signal out to the nearest cell tower, which is basically a giant super-powered gossip router. These towers are everywhere, dividing the landscape into a grid of cells. That's why they're called cell phones. As you move, your phone seamlessly hands off the signal from one tower to the next, so your call doesn't drop while you're walking and ranting. From the cell tower, your voice data is no longer wireless. It dives into a mind-bogglingly vast and complex network. If you're calling someone on a different continent, your voice is likely converted into pulses of light and shot through undersea fiber-optic cables. Yes, there are literal cables, about the thickness of a garden hose, lying on the ocean floor, forming the backbone of the global internet. These cables are made of ultra-pure glass fibers, and they transmit data by flashing lasers on one end to a receptor on the other, using a principle called total internal reflection to keep the light contained. More than 95% of all international data travels this way, so your voice is now light, bouncing its way across the Atlantic. For very remote areas, the signal might even be beamed up to a satellite orbiting the Earth, which then relays it back down to a ground station connected to the main network. Your friend's phone receives these packets of data, whether they've arrived via a cell tower, an undersea cable, or a satellite. Now it's time for the magic show in reverse. Their phone's processor gets to work, reassembling the packets in the correct order. The codec that compressed your voice on your end now does the opposite. It decompresses the data, filling in the shorthand to get back to the full string of ones and zeros. This digital stream is then fed into a digital to analog converter, DAC. The DAC does exactly what you'd think. It takes the numerical values and reconstructs the original squiggly electrical wave that your microphone first created. It essentially connects the dots from the sampling process to create a smooth, continuous signal again. This freshly rebuilt electrical signal is then sent to the phone's speaker. A speaker is basically a microphone in reverse. The electrical current causes a diaphragm to vibrate, pushing the air and creating sound waves that travel to your friend's ear. And just like that, their phone screams out, "Hey, this is what your friend just said." But wait, how is it real time? How is there no lag? Because your voice is chopped into tiny, individually addressed packets, like voice burritos, and these get sent at nearly the speed of light. Each one is labeled part 3 of that dramatic rant. The phone on the other end catches them, lines them up in the right order, even if they arrive out of sequence, and plays them like a Spotify playlist of your words. This happens so fast, with a latency of just milliseconds, that it feels instantaneous. And here's the kicker. This entire insane process is happening in both directions simultaneously. It's a full duplex communication, meaning you're both tossing these invisible packets of voice data at each other like magical frisbees. Most modern calling apps use end-to-end encryption. This means your voice data is scrambled into an unreadable format the moment it leaves your phone and is only decrypted when it reaches the intended recipient. Not even the service provider can listen in. It's like your voice packets are sealed in a magical, unbreakable envelope that only your friend has the key to open. So yeah, when you hear someone's voice on a phone call, you're not hearing them. You're hearing your phone's best impersonation of them, assembled from electricity, math, light speed wizardry, and a whole lot of code. You just summoned sound across the earth. You're basically a wizard.